light cycloramas and other backdrops for the most part because they are big wide swaths of light. You guys ever go to Vegas and you see some of the Cirque shows? One of the things that Luc LaFortune, who's the lighting designer for most of the Cirque shows, does is he uses big wide swaths of washes and floodlights to do big pieces of stage with. So he uses them a little less conventionally than most people do. Depends on who uses. Follow spots. Okay, I want to be very clear about this idea. Spotlights are everything we talked about over here. These 3 units are also considered spotlights. But when I say follow spot, I mean a light that somebody is standing behind and making it follow an actor or a performer on stage. So I just want to make sure you guys get those 2 concepts clear. Spotlight doesn't necessarily mean follow spot. A spotlight can be an ERS. That is a spotlight. A PAR is a spotlight. Those are all lights that do spots of the stage and are controllable. But a follow spot has a person behind it following a performer. So that's just to kind of know that it's manually operated, allowing the electrician to light a performer. So it's kind of the same. It's usually kind of a plano convex sort of setup, but it doesn't have shutters. The idea with the follow spot is that it usually has what's called an iris in there. So an iris allows us to control the size of the circle. So you'll see like they'll do a really beautiful ballad, and towards the end of the ballad the little follow spot gets smaller and smaller and closes in on the face of the performer, and then they cut out the follow spot. That's an iris doing that. It allows you to change the size of that circle. So somebody is irising in as they sing and then cutting off the light. So that's an iris. Just a few other little accessories I want to kind of go over with you guys. I think that's it on those. So again, these are just like the tip of the iceberg, you guys. There's so much out there for lighting. It's nearly impossible to cover it all. So just to go over a few more accessories, one of the things you may see here is you'll notice that the plugs here are different than your household plugs, right? These are called stage pin connectors, or stage pins. And the idea here is that the cable we're using in theater is very heavy-duty cable. So that if you step on it, walk across it, it's heavy-duty enough to stand up to that. But the stage pin connector also lies nice and flat when you run it across the floor or do different things. It's a heavy-duty plug for stage use. So, stage pin plug. It also has an abbreviation, which is SPG. So SPG stands for stage, I think it's stage pin ground. And the idea is that they're designating that it's not just 2 pins that have the positive and negative. We'll get into this a little bit when we do an electricity lecture. But it's got a ground to be kind of a safety. A grounding wire helps if there's a short circuit or something. Hopefully it goes and grounds before it goes through you. Electricity wants to take the easiest path to get back to stability. And usually that's grounding itself rather than going through you. So a ground kind of helps be a safety thing. So the ground in this one is that middle pin. That's your little safety line. Your hot, which is your conductor that's conducting the electricity, is the pin that's furthest away. One of the things you'll notice as you start thinking about electricity in your own home is they try to make it as safe as possible. So they've isolated that negative, that hot wire coming in, so it's a little further away. And then there's the ground. And then there's the return line, or the neutral, on the other side. But that's a stage pin. And you'll see that most of our lights are stage pin. I don't have a twist lock, but the twist lock would be another type of plug or connector. And I can't remember if there's a designation for that, but the idea there is that it's like a round head with 3 slotted pins that curve, and one of them has like a little L shape. So you would plug it in and twist it a little bit, and then it kind of stays locked together. That would be a twist lock plug. And then, of course, this is kind of representative of your household plugs, right? Like you can see the little outlets in that. That's like your normal plug in your own homes. We just, for slang, I mean, most of the time we just call this an Edison plug. And the abbreviation for that is, I believe, PBG. And it stands for something like pin by ground or something like that. So it's like, it means it has 2 pins and a ground. Now this little contraption that you guys might use in your homes, it's got the 1 male on the back side that you can plug into your outlet, and then the 3 taps that you can plug into. There's a couple of names for this. You could call it a 3-fer, because you can plug 3 things into it. Or
I already have one at home.
What's that?
I already have that one at home.
You have this one at home?
Yes.
We also call this a cube tap. Cube tap. Because it looks like a little cube, right? And it taps in and gives you a little effort. The power strips, those are a power strip. Yep. Those are a power strip. So more often I'm going to call this a cube tap than a 3-fer. Now, when we go back to our stage pin, the 2-fer or 3-fer usually looks a little more like this. The 2-fer has 1 male plug, and then obviously 2 female plugs. Does that make sense when I'm saying male and female? Can you guys see the difference there between those? Pretty self-explanatory. We're not very creative in lighting here. Top hats, barn doors, male, female. All makes sense. So that's the idea. So the only difference between a 3-fer would be what? Obviously 1 more female, right? So this is a 2-fer. 3-fer would have 3. They don't usually make 4-fers because by then you're blowing things up. You guys smell it, so like 2-fer. 2-for-1. T-W-O-F-E-R. 2-fer or 3-fer. I think some people hyphenate it. It's a little subjective. Did I have a question? All right, then you just kind of take a look at a couple more things. When we get into intelligent lighting, and the website has a little bit more, and they talk a little bit more about LED lighting and moving lights. Those are kind of like our newer technology where we're trying to take the basic properties of we want to use gobos, we want to use colors, but we want to be able to change them constantly in one fixture. We start looking at intelligent lighting. So for intelligent lighting, you have to run data to them, right? Just like you have to hook up your computer to the internet, you have to be able to talk to your intelligent lights and tell them what to do. So we have data cable that's usually called DMX cable. With my pen over there. Let me just write this over. So DMX. DMX, just what it sounds like. And I think that stands for something like digital multiplex or something like that. But the idea is, some of our cable that we use looks like sound cable and has 3 pins. But more often than not, what we've got, especially for running right into the lighting console, has 5 pins in it. But I just kind of want you guys to know that we have to run information to those lights, and that we have things like DMX to run that information to. So these lights obviously wouldn't need that, right? All you got to do is plug this into a dimmer or power, and you're up and running. What's that? You're good to go. But with an intelligent light, you need to both plug it in so the lamp has power and run data to it so you can talk to it from the computer. So that's where it starts differentiating quite a bit. What else? These are called gel frames. And the idea with these, maybe I'll do it on the ERS. Obviously there's different sizes for different lights. So the idea with these, especially here, is that there's 3 tabs across the front that it slides into. And then we have what's called the gel frame clip on the top. And you guys will get to play with this either probably next time, but maybe this time. But the spring clip pushes over a little bit and then up, or it pushes over and then down, so that you can make room to slide that gel frame in there. And it has an opening on one side to put your color, the swatch books that you guys have. Your color goes in the gel frame, and then you slide it in there, and then you close the gel frame clip. And that way it doesn't fall out. The gel frame